where we are connecting entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and business experts to you, the small business owner and entrepreneur. Today, really excited to have my guest, Angel Ribo. Angel is known as the CEO Confidant. He runs a business and consulting firm where they help to boost accountability, improve your sales performance, and has spent a great deal of time working on how to help remote teams become successful. In this episode, we're going to talk about Angel's background, how he come to create the CEO Confidant, what he has done over the last year to help boost teams' remote performance, and finally, how he leverages social media. We hope you enjoy this episode. Angel, welcome to the Money Talks podcast. How you doing today?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. And thank you everybody who's listening to us.
Yeah, it was, thank you for being here. You and I connected several months back. We were doing a kind of a LinkedIn marketing workshop, if you will. I appreciate your feedback. You know, your content is fabulous. And that's something we'll definitely want to talk a little bit about. So without further ado, maybe just give the audience a little bit about your background.
Absolutely. So, of course, I mean, I live in Plano, Texas, which is north of Dallas. I've lived here for the last 10 years. Overall, I've lived like in eight different countries throughout my life. I'm originally from near Barcelona in Spain. And basically, I do two very distinct things in my life. One is with my business consulting company. Basically, we help both corporate CEOs and established entrepreneurs to bridge the gap globally for expansion and exposure as a way to generate or to accelerate the growth of their businesses. And I started to do that basically 5 years ago when I left corporate America. And at the same time, I started also my nonprofit. I'm actually one of the 3 co-founders. And what we do is we help underprivileged kids in Latin America become entrepreneurs using the local resources. So this is in a nutshell what my life is about. Unfortunately, for the last 14 months, I have not been able to travel much for obvious reasons. It's now April 2021. But we really can't wait to resume our activities in Latin America with the kids that so much needed.
That's amazing. I definitely want to learn more about that and talk about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kudos to you for doing that. It's really important. And it's amazing because I've talked to other people that I've interviewed on my podcast who are in the fintech space, and there is a lot going on as far as entrepreneurship in Latin America. So
yes,
I love hearing about that. And it's really interesting. So maybe go back a little bit.
Of course.
What was kind of, I guess, the light bulb? You know, it's really interesting because a lot of the people I interview, they've all had some role in the corporate world, if you will. And what was the light bulb for you as far as wanting to kind of bridge out, go on your own and start this great, enterprise you have?
Thank you. Well, I think it's a mixture of things, right? It's not only one thing. I think that probably the most important one is that I had continuously been putting my family as a second priority in my life. And that eventually hurts the family, and for me, my family is extremely important. So I think that was probably one of the main reasons. The second reason is also, when you realize that the company was working with was bought by someone else, and then things started to change. And when you realize that people join companies for money, but they stay because of the culture. And so when you realize that, all these great things you've done in the past, unfortunately, you cannot do it there anymore. And you have to use you have to change your strategy, and you don't quite think is ethical enough or good enough, So, there were many things like this. And why wasting my time doing things that I really don't like and I don't see any future on? I think that's really important. And also, I think probably like the last thing, the last drop in the cup was probably I had a spiritual experience, literally, that also made me think, what are you doing with your life, Angel? And maybe and it was the second time in my life that I had something close to this, something that they couldn't explain with my senses. So I said, okay, so this means something. Maybe I should do something. I should take action. and I should basically move from where I am today to doing something else. And I'm obviously, in retrospect, after 5 years, it's definitely a good move. And as you know, if I've interviewed people coming from corporate, as you know, we all come out in many different ways, but we all come out with a lot of experience, right? And I think that's extremely important. I think it's important to acknowledge that we come with a lot of experience, and we have had several support systems helping us grow to be who we are.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. I appreciate that, and it's great because you're right. That is an excellent point about having that experience. But then you also, it's all about jumping out or getting out of the comfort zone, if you will. We all, as you kind of alluding to, many people get very accustomed to that corporate culture, and it kind of feels safe. But you have to ask yourself, are you really happy doing what you're doing? And more often than not, people answer that question with a no, and they kind of have to grab that entrepreneurial spirit out and realize you have to, if you want to be happy, you got to make changes. Maybe that means taking some risk in your life.
Mm-hmm. And as you know, every time you hear the stats about the engagement levels in corporate, it's always above 70%. So that means that at any given company, at any given point in time, you go there, you knock at the door, you see 10 people, 7 don't really like what they're doing, but they have to pay their bills, they have to pay their mortgages, they have to take their kids to college, blah, 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 you name it. So, and I stayed there for 10 years, it was a long period of time, but there were people there that had been almost 30 years.
Right.
So, I mean, and it's not bad. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad, but
right.
At the end of the day, it's your decision. You decide what you want to do with your life. And also, I think that something else, now that we're thinking about things that have happened in the past in my life, I think that also I went to a Tony Robbins event, and I experienced, and there's so many things that happen in those events that are so powerful. And one of the most important messages that really changed and shook me really to the bone was the idea that, we are really here to make an impact. Yep. Like it or not, and that's why you have a podcast. I mean, you have a podcast because you really want to change people's lives and you want to inspire people every single day, right? And you're excited about the downloads, not because of the downloads themselves, but just because you have been able to inspire more people and more people and more people, right?
100%.
And so that's why there's this direct relationship between, how many people you serve and you help in your life, and eventually the rewards that you get in your life. And I wanted to literally start doing my own thing and start impacting thousands of lives as opposed to what I was doing before.
Yeah, that's amazing. I agree with you 100%. Yeah, it is. You're right. You have to, you really have to want to make changes to people's lives and be impactful. And thank you. I appreciate what you just said. Yeah, that's why I'm here doing this. I love doing it. I get to meet, I've been doing it now for almost a year, which is hard to believe. And I get to meet great people like yourself who are,
thank you.
I get to learn about what you're doing. We get to talk about your life and how you meet, how you help other people, and the message gets out, and it's tremendous. It's exciting every time I do this. And I'm always appreciative of the time of my guests. So maybe as we kind of move forward, I guess talk a little bit about your process as far as, when you're maybe meeting with a new client, and maybe take us through how that works.
Yeah, of course. So the reason why, I do what I do as far as, professionally speaking with my consulting business is because I had helped more than 1,500 companies in 36 different countries. So that's what allows me to say, okay, so I'm going to put in place a system that will allow systematically both entrepreneurs and companies to, keep on growing their businesses, accelerating the growth of the businesses by expanding the business over there. So basically, the first conversation with any company or any entrepreneur goes the same way. So, okay, so why would you like to go abroad? Why would you like to go global? Why would you like to take your product or your service to a specific place, a specific geography in which you are not present right now? And the reasons are different, right? Some people I just want to make more money out of what I already have. Other people say, I would really like to have my business and travel with my business, and I would like to use the excuse of my business to travel to other places, which is a very genuine, authentic way to think about it. And as you know, there's many professions that are actually already doing that, like real estate people, professionals. They do that all the time. They go and go all over the place, all over the world to buy properties, and they have fun doing it, and they're still doing business at the same time, right? And then after the reasons, we talk about the reasons, and the reasons are there. Then we talk, okay, so what changes are you open to make to your current state of being and company and culture and everything? Because it's very easy to say, I want to do this, but what do you really want to change? That's why very often people ask me, how do you find your clients, or what's the perfect profile of your clients? Is there a particular industry that you like to work more with? And I said, no, there's not a particular industry. There's always a way in which I always ask these three questions. Do you really want to change as a leader? Do you really want to leave a legacy? And do you really want to change the world? I always ask the same three questions, because I just want to work with people that I really like to work with. I choose my clients, and I really want to work with people that really want to make a difference in this world. The same way I'm doing it every single day. I want them to do the same thing, and I would like to work with them and support them in doing that. And I think that is really important. Then we have a conversation about, do you have the resources? It's very important. I mean, going abroad is not just, or going global or international. It's not just, okay, I want to go, let's test the waters. You have to make a decision to do it, okay? There's several ways to do it, and you can, let's say there's several levels of, engagement, and you can go full in, and you can go maybe test the waters and find maybe some business partners and start, selling your products and services. It depends. Everybody's different, but you have to make sure that you're going to stay in that mode between 1 year, 1.5 years, because if you only want to do it for a few months, it's not worth it. You don't need me. The same way a lot of entrepreneurs like us, they think that as they're already present online, they already have a global business, and that's not true, because it's the same as. And I see that every time I go with my foundation as well. I go to many different Latin American countries, and you would think every country we speak Spanish, so it's almost the same culture. It's not the same culture at all. So even if we speak English right now, only a few entrepreneurs out there, really have thought, okay, so is selling to the US the same as selling to Canada, the same as selling to Australia, the same as selling to the UK? And the easy answer would be, of course it is. They all speak English. It's not true. It's not true. And talk to any advertising company who's present globally. You have any friend working on a marketing department or on an advertising large corporation that they work globally? Ask that person, do you guys really take into consideration the different cultural realities in every single geography in which you advertise your products or services? Of course they do. Right. But we tend to think that things are simple, and things are, no. It's the same thing. It's not the same thing. So if they have the resources, they really want to do it, they're really open to change the status quo, then probably typically it's a go. Typically it's a go. And then, we decide, we discuss the details, what's the best time frame, how are we going to adapt your products and services to the new market, how are we going to find the right partners for you? Do you want to set up a specific distribution channel? Do you want to go there, or do you want to tap onto the door of, or knock on the door of the top 5 clients of a particular industry, which are good for you, good fit for your products and services? It's more like a qualification set of questions that allow my team and I to see exactly what we can do for that particular company.
That was tremendous. Thank you for that. I really enjoyed all of it, but especially the first part, because you're very specific as to, you were talking about the 3 questions that you ask, very specific, and it's important it's 2 many reasons, but one, as the entrepreneur, as the business owner, it's important that you're, distinguishing yourself, and that really is really speaking to your value proposition as far as, this is what we're trying to find out. If you can answer these questions, I can help you. If you can't, we probably can't work together. And that's important, that you've created this niche, and you're able to have these questions and get them answered. So I think that's really important. And then what you were just talking about, as far as, understanding, you have a great understanding of the cultural differences, because in this day and age, like you said, everyone wants to go global, right? And if to your credit and to your point, it isn't that simple, just because these languages are spoken in so many countries. If there's one thing I learned from business school, it's the cultures. So I distinctly remember these conversations having with one of the professors about how different it is to do business in these other countries, whether it's in the Far East or in Latin America. It's not the same. You have to understand the cultures. And that's really important that you help people realize this right at the start.
Exactly. And that's why, after so many years, 20 plus years working in 33 countries, with all the network of potential partners of my future clients that I have developed, how important it is for you that you are going to, let's say, disembark on a particular country and you already have a trustworthy partner, right, that you can start working together. That's gonna make a big difference. Going with, holding hands with someone local that knows everything, that's gonna help you and is gonna teach you everything, obviously in return of a margin or any other, arrangement, commercial arrangement, but still. And this is one of the most important assets that we have. We know local people in all those countries that can help, really shorten that ramp up period that they will need for their experience of going global or starting, to commercialize their products and services in that market.
Yeah, 100%. Have you found, obviously we all like to forget all the events that occurred last year. They were, clearly awful, very difficult, no matter where you were in the world. As far as in communicating with, your clients and prospective clients, do you see, or have you found that more and more of these prospective or your clients have this, really this sense of urgency now that, going global is so important, and that if we've learned anything, you and I are here on a Zoom call, we have this ability to communicate and get things done. Have you found that sense of urgency has increased now because people realize maybe I don't have to get on a plane, 200 days out of the year?
Exactly. And I was one of them. I remember 1 year, I did 230 flights in a year.
Wow.
In 12 months. I don't know how many hotel nights I have no idea, but obviously those were a lot of legs, a lot of flights, a lot of planes, a lot of destinations. So to your point, absolutely, because the people are realizing that, the market conditions have changed. And the same way I have to tell you that not everybody, that's funny, because you would think contrary to what your common sense would tell you, there's also a lot of people that are not ready to sell online. So again, having those, I couldn't agree more with you. Right now, companies are really wanting and needing to go global, and accelerate the growth of their businesses more than before. They want to make the most of their services and products, and they don't know exactly how to do it. And that's why having local partners that have already proven, that they have already been successful in whatever they have done before, I think it's extremely important. So things are changing. The other day, I was having a conversation with a medical devices company. I was having a conversation with he was the SVP, I think, the SVP of that company, $700 million revenue. Okay, so decent company. And he was complaining about the fact that he had lost, in the last 12 months, he had lost probably 3 or 4 of his top salespeople because they were not comfortable selling online.
Interesting,
exactly.
Very interesting.
So if they couldn't shake the hands of the people, they couldn't see them face to face and sit on the same table and then go have, grab lunch or whatever.
Right.
They couldn't keep on closing those multi-million-dollar deals. Isn't it amazing? So obviously the company, what the company is doing is providing them with, online training once a week on how to sell, how to be fully present, how to do the most of this kind of interactions that you and I are having, right? How do you have to conduct yourself? Where do you have to look? What kind of conversations? What do you have to show? What you're going to show?
Right.
How does it have to be designed? Everything has changed. And I have to tell you also, I'm really blessed that I'm in Texas. As you know, Texas is one of the most open states in the union. I mean, we've been fully open since March.
Right.
All the stats are going down and down and down, every single day. But I have to tell you also that for the last 12 to 14 months, I never stopped having face-to-face meetings, ever. I had lots of coffees in coffee shops, and instead of restaurants, coffees in coffee shops, maybe short coffees, right, maybe outside in the patio, whatever, with a lot of, C-level executives here, no matter what. So that's what life is about. I mean, to be honest, you're a human being, and we have to really, everybody feels differently about what's going on in the world, but life continues. Right. And executives still have to hit certain, revenue levels and hit certain profit levels and cash flow levels, hopefully, so they can keep on growing their businesses and providing, obviously, all the employment positions and that they're offering so far.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the word that comes to mind as you're just speaking, and thank you for that, is adaptable, right? I mean, people, it doesn't matter what you do for a living or what maybe you've changed and you're doing now. We've all had to have some measure of adaptability over the last year. If you, and to your point, we were just that great example of the salespeople. That executive, they need to keep the lights on at the company, if you will, right? They have to keep things going, and that's a difficult situation. We have to adapt, where we have to, we need to train these people that, listen, you may have to do this, through a camera, and that's being adaptable.
I was reading a report summary yesterday about, how the future of work has been changed due to what's going on in the world right now. 3/4 of CEOs right now, they are very, very concerned. And the number one concern is, how are they going to help their employees upskill?
Right.
And they're not that concerned about, like hard skills. No. I'm talking about soft skills. So they don't know how they're going to do it to successfully transition their labor forces, their workforces, into a place where they can embrace new skills that are needed for the work that needs to be done today in the world, right? So, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all human beings. At the end of the day, C-level executives are the same as you and me. They have their own concerns. They're different concerns because their outreach and their levels of responsibility, depending on the size of the company, is huge. But at the end of the day, they're dealing with people and concerns related to people. Will my employees be still engaged? What do I have to do now differently compared to before, so that they keep being engaged? How do I keep them accountable? How can I have, all those questions are being asked and are not easy. I mean, in only 12, 14 months, let's say 14 months now, it's April 2021 right now, not everybody has been able to really adapt to the new situation yet. And I think that the organizations that have provided have taken the opportunity for the last few months, right, to train their workforce, are going to be the most successful ones in the future. But 100%. you can't wait. It's not like, you have like X company name, university already developed, and you have lots of courses inside. That's not the answer. The answer is, how do you make sure that you have really, 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 engaging, multisensorial, really engaging training opportunities that every single employee is really using to keep the company afloat and to really set a strong foundation. Things are changing all the time, and people don't see that. Again, and the world of training has also changed, and it will keep on changing. And as you know, we live in a world we are being distracted all the time. We carry these smartphones, which make us, obviously, they not make us smarter, as you know, right? So they do everything but keeping us smart, right?
Agreed.
It's funny. I don't know if you've seen it. I forgot the name of the company. I would say the name of the company if I remembered it. There's a company that just launched a new flip phone, which it's not a smartphone, so it has zero distractions. but it has the power of the, let's say, the agenda, blah, 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 all the really strong things or the powerful things, but zero distractions. And I'm sure that they're selling it. It's not cheap. I mean, it's not like the flip phones that you go to Walmart, that it's $25 or $50.
Right.
No, they charge you $300, I think it is. But it's a flip phone, long battery, you name it, because we need to go back to the basics. The distraction is not allowing us to really thrive in our lives. And you must see this because you interview people every single day or week. You see that, unfortunately, keeping us distracted is keeping us distracted. So we don't accomplish what we should be accomplishing.
100%.
Right? And there's this great movie called The Social Dilemma. The Social Dilemma. I don't know if you've watched the movie.
Yes.
It's a great movie because I think everybody should go and see that movie and watch that movie because it tells you how the devices and the softwares are designed to keep you distracted and are designed to, with all due respect to all those companies, manipulate your purchasing habits, your consumption habits. And they say it, and there's like literally 9, 10, 11 high-level former social media companies that are telling you the story and explaining you, this is how we do it.
Right.
This is how we manipulate you. And they say, we don't allow our kids to have cell phones. We don't allow our kids to have the cameras on their computers.
Right.
There's a reason. There's a reason why this is happening, So it's like the cars. I drive this 2006 convertible, and I'm not going to change it because I don't want a computer. I don't want anybody to get into my computer, the computer of my car. You know what I mean?
Yes.
As much as I like technology. I worked for 2 very successful high-tech companies, and I love technology. But I tell you, I don't want anybody to get into the brains of my car. I love driving my 2006, and I will keep on driving my 2006 until I don't know.
I get it. No, those are really valid points, and it actually, I'm sure this is, you have to deal with this, and probably more and more so now. Is how do you recommend to your clients, the executives, really, I guess, keeping that performance of the team, if you will, at a high level? 2 reasons. One, obviously now we've all been separated and predominantly we've had to work in this kind of environment. And how do you maintain that performance? And then also to what you were just talking about, this distraction, right, of this, where people just pick it up all the time. How do you, I guess, advise your clients on
the best piece of advice is actually a very good friend of mine. His name is Neville Joffe. He's trained more than 20,000 C-level executives and business operators of large corporations in the world for the last 25 years. And he does something which I love. It's the deprivation test, which means, imagine, Hugh, that you and I, we do a list of everything that we do, let's say during our working hours. Let's leave our personal life aside, okay? Our working hours. We do a list. And then we say, okay, starting tomorrow, I will not do this and this and this and this. Listen, if you want, you just start with one thing. I'm not going to do that. And I will make sure we're not going to do it. And you keep on adding things. Why? Because you realize that there's a lot of things that you do that you really don't need to do. And you can probably, there's some roundabout, something that you can do instead of what you were doing. That's not going to be, sucking your energy and your time. Right. And you can still, turn around. I wanted to say that's the word I wanted to use. So you can use a turnaround and not being obliged to do that. So make a list of the things that you do. Start, the saying, I will not do this anymore. I will not do this anymore. Really, like processes that you every single day you do, and you will realize how you really don't have to do many of the things that you're already doing. And I love that test, the deprivation test. I love it because it's like looking at yourself at the mirror.
Right.
You can't hide. You are there. It's you. You either like yourself or you like yourself, right? it's who you are, right?
That's fantastic. I'm gonna have to make that list.
No, honestly, do it.
Yeah.
Honestly, It's like when we're shaving in the morning, right? It's you with your razor, and it's your face, and if you cut yourself, bad luck, it was your bad day, but it's you with your time, with your reality. And there's something else. And I took action after watching that movie that I recommend people as well. They actually, what they did is they made an app called Moment. These former executives that left the social media companies because they didn't think that it was the ethical thing to do, like staying at the company and manipulating people. They actually came up with an app called Moment. I use it. It's going to change your life if you use it. Okay. Moment. It helps you. It's like the AA people, there's a process to get out of alcohol addiction. Is the same thing. They take you step by step, how to start putting the cell phone aside, the smartphone aside, and not take the power out of your life and out of yourself every single moment. Fascinating.
That is. I'm gonna check that out.
Check it.
This is a podcast chock full of advice, not just professional, but personal.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for
appreciate it. So I always spend so much time asking my wonderful guests many questions, and I appreciate them being here. And I always give the opportunity of the guests to ask me a question. So I'm giving you the mic, and feel free to ask away.
Okay, from 1 to 10, how difficult do you want me to ask you the question?
Oh, wow.
The question to be from 1 to 10.
Let's do it. Let's do an 8.
An 8. Okay. What keeps you up at night right now, Hugh?
What keeps me up at night right now? I think honestly, it's the education of my kids, and how I think, if anything, it's very worrisome. Obviously what happened over the last year, we can't change it. It's already happened, but you really start learning more and more about how your kids are being taught in schools. And to me, that's very worrisome, because they're going into a world that, you don't, having a degree from a Harvard or a top-notch school, more and more people are not really looking at that anymore. They're looking for more entrepreneurial, thinking people that can work with teams and on projects. And I feel like our education system in this country it's not built that way. It's built completely, it's an antiquated education model. And I think it has to be changed. And I know there are entrepreneurs out there that are now doing these things. Obviously, it's not available to everyone, and it could be expensive, but at least you're starting to see some changes as far as these people realize we can't teach our kids this way anymore. It's not about test taking skills. It's about problem solving and speaking. And this is what's important. This is what's going to help them as they go forward. So
I couldn't agree more with you. It's funny. I don't know why I asked you that question. I'm extremely involved with the education of my kids as well. I'm very worried as well. I used to be volunteer in the school. Unfortunately, here where we live, they closed down the schools. We literally cannot go inside the school to see what our kids are doing. We cannot do that, which is insane. But to your point, I mean, absolutely. The type of people that are needed in the world today has nothing to see with the type of people that leave the system. And absolutely, to your point. And obviously for the last 14 months, what has happened inside the schools, unfortunately hasn't helped the kids to be smarter, brighter, feel more loved, feel more cared for, or even have a better mental health. Agreed. I mean, you talk to the therapist, talk to the counselors, and you will know. You will see. I mean, unfortunately. So thank you for answering the question. Thank you.
I appreciate that question. Thank you. It's something. It's funny because I'm actually going to have in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to have a founder of a startup education company. So more to come on that subject.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Please.
I'm looking for.
Keep on bringing people that knows exactly what's lacking today and what we can do to bring, to use all these amazing talents and gifts that our kids come to this world with. Oh my God, and you see that every day. It's as father, you see that. I mean, these kids are asking you questions that, oh my God, and what a blessing. The thing is, how do we keep this balance, right? Between educating them and giving them the boundaries, and at the same time allowing them to be who they really are, right?
100%.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you. I'm having chills again. So thank you.
No, thank you for that great question. Take a minute or two. You do an amazing job on your social media, specifically your LinkedIn.
Thank you.
It's one of the best. And I actually spent time earlier today and yesterday going through it. And you have a very clear value proposition. I know, you exactly what you do, who you're trying to help. Maybe just spend a minute or two talking about how you've really leveraged using social media.
Thank you. Exactly. Well, number one, I chose to start working in social media really when I left corporate America. I think that in general, in the corporate world, social media is not used a lot, or is used very well. The first thing I thought was, okay, so what is my audience, right? So who do I want to serve and where they are? And it's funny how, obviously, I immediately decided, okay, so it's LinkedIn. I only had a few hundred connections, nothing else. And I said, but I want to really make a difference here on LinkedIn. And then I started to think, okay, so if my audience is here, how am I going to talk to them? And one of the things I always repeat myself and that I learned, and I have had also very good teachers throughout this time, is that number one, have you noticed that when you go to Google and look for a particular person, you throw a name in the box? One of the first line items is actually LinkedIn. Right. So you are in Google, Googling someone's name, and LinkedIn lines show up as the first one. So what I'm trying to tell you is LinkedIn is not a place where you look for a job only. LinkedIn is a search tool. LinkedIn is a search tool. Okay. So just that I think that's going to help you think differently about LinkedIn. Number one. Number two, I said, okay, so what am I going to share? I mean, I was able to have little by little, I built a team, and I have a team working with me. As you have seen, I have, video editors, I have graphic designers. I'm every single day online, every single day. So the content that I am posting is always a content, number one, that's going to grab the attention of my audience. Number two, that it's going to be more related to the human being who is behind an executive than the executive that is concerned about 20 different business aspects. So I'm trying to really keep everything at a very human level and connect with the people at the very human level. So you will see that obviously sometimes I speak about business and sometimes I give visibility and exposure to businesses, and because actually it's part of my business value proposition. But I try to be really very close to the human beings behind the people that I want to attract to my timeline, right? To my feed. Right. And we all have options, as you know, we all have options. And also I use, and not many people do it, I not only post every day, like normal posts, I use video a lot, I use graphics, I use cartoons. I also create posters for the story. There's a story, like the WhatsApp story, the Facebook story, or the Instagram story. There's a story on LinkedIn. Right. And again, you have to change it every single day. But again, it's another place where people go and they just see, for instance, I am obsessed personally about what's going to happen tomorrow. I want to be the first one to tell everybody on my timeline what day is going to be tomorrow. So for instance, tomorrow, I forgot what day is it going to be tomorrow, but
Saturday.
So it's going to be Saturday, but I don't remember. It's going to be the National something day. Okay. So I am always talking about what day is it going to be tomorrow. So now I could go to LinkedIn and I will see that my team posted about what national or international day is it going to be tomorrow. And as opposed to do what everybody does, which is posting about what international day is it today, I always do about what international day is going to be tomorrow, just because I want to give my audience a head start, so they go to the office and they already know what's going to be tomorrow. Or maybe if someone needs to buy something or needs to do something, they have one day head start to do that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And again, and there's days which I talk about innovation, about creativity. I talk a lot about building bridges, because I think that for the last 14 months, a lot of bridges have been burned.
Right.
And I think that we have to build bridges. So that's another important part of my strategy. And the third one is really when I reach out to people to connect with me, which, by the way, it's more and more difficult on LinkedIn. Just this week, they limited the number of people you can connect with. I always try to connect with a very short initial message.
Right.
The connection request message is always very short, as if I was on a face-to-face meeting and I was meeting that person on a networking event, literally. Okay. So I always say something like, I would like to connect with you. So might we help each other? We might be able to help each other in the future. Or I just say, I would like to connect with this kind of leaders. So you are already filtering the people that you connect with.
Right.
You don't want to connect with everybody.
No,
right?
That's right.
Exactly. So again, you have to be strategic about what you do online. So those would be probably like the top 3 pieces of advice I would like to share with the audience. And I'm very consistent on, if you go to Facebook, you go to Instagram, you go to Twitter, you go to WhatsApp, you will see that I have the exact same message every single day on all my social media outlets. So I'm very consistent. So everybody looking for me, or everybody that's going to find me, they will see that I have the same message in all my platforms. I think that consistency is also very, very important.
Absolutely.
Huge. Yeah.
100%. Well, and I always conclude my episodes with pieces of actionable advice, and you've outdone yourself and done a great job here. I appreciate you doing that. Those are great pieces of advice as far as how to really leverage your social media and being consistent. So I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for being here with me and the audience today. It was really wonderful to finally talk to you in person, learn more about what you're working on. And, I wish you all the success as we get through the rest of 2021, and definitely want to have you back on in the future. So Angel, thank you for being here today.
Anytime. Well, thank you. It's been an honor, Hugh, really, thank you for having me. If I may, maybe if I could just share with the audience my email address, if it's a possibility.
Please.
Thank you. So just, besides going to social media and, writing a message, which I'm going to answer, because we answer every single message. My email address is very easy. I'm going to share my personal email address, the direct, which is Angel, ANGEL, at angelribo.com. Ribo is my last name. It's 4 letters, R-I-B as in boy, O. Again, Angel at angelribo.com. And really, it's been a pleasure to have this conversation with you, Hugh. I've enjoyed the conversation a lot. And obviously, thank you, everybody who's watching us today.
Thank you again, Angel. It was great to have you. Really appreciate your time and thoughts. Remember, everyone, we'll be back next week with another episode of Money Talks. Please like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. We'll be back next week. This is Money Talks. I'm Hugh Meyer. Take care.